Watch advice can sometimes be insightful, practical, even inspiring. But let's be honest, more often than not, it's complete and utter rubbish. From snobbery disguised as expertise to flat-out myths that refuse to die, here's a roundup of some of the worst watch advice floating around. You've probably heard this one more times than a taxi driver has heard "been busy," usually uttered from the mouth of a self-proclaimed expert who also pretends to understand wine but rarely can just taste the difference between malt vinegar and cheap plonk. Someone whose entire collection originates from a 10 square mile of landlocked territory in the middle of Pangaea. But they're experts, and as an uninitiated newbie, you may well have fallen for their venom. All AliExpress and Chinese watches are junk. But what really drives the junk narrative? The answer is simple: insecurity. The fear that someone with a £50 watch might be having more fun than the guy with a £5,000 one. Because, spoiler alert, they often are. They're experimenting, collecting and diving headfirst into a world where horology isn't chained to heritage or gatekept by men in dodgy vests with even dodgier extracurricular activities. It's accessible, exciting, and yes, sometimes a little weird. But weird is good. Weird is innovation. Weird is where the future is born. So no, Chinese watches aren't junk. They're the Wild West of wristwear, the punk rock of timekeeping, the underdog with a spring bar and a dream. Dismiss them at your own peril, because while you're busy polishing your precious heirloom, someone else is out there strapping a full skeleton tourbillon to their wrist at the fraction of a cost and loving every second of it. And what's more, there are those times when the AliExpress brands even embarrass those pieces from that 10 square mile landlocked territory in the middle of Pangaea. Financing a watch is bad, they say. Those self-appointed guardians of fiscal responsibility. You know the ones, the I pay cash for everything crowd, convinced that financing is a treacherous road leading straight to financial ruin. But allow me to suggest, with all the subtlety of a wet fart in a quiet library, that financing isn't inherently evil. In fact, when executed with a modicum of sense, it can be one of the sharpest financial moves you'll ever make. Watches aren't just timepieces, they're miniature works of art, symbols of taste, passion, and probably too much caffeine. And let's be honest, most of us don't have spare thousands kicking around in our back pockets to casually drop on a grail piece. Financing allows you to embrace the art of horology today without subjecting your bank balance to a slow, painful death. You can get your hands on the watch of your dreams now without waiting for your savings to grow like some kind of financial bonsai tree. And let's face it, in many cases, it's a far more sensible option than the alternative. Consider this: your dream watch is £3,000. You could save for a year or two, but by the time you've gathered the funds, the price has crept up to £3,400. Nice one. Or you could finance it with 0% interest, keep the price at £3,000 and end up paying less in the long run. It's simple maths really, which, let's face it, is lightly beyond the grasp of anyone who thinks a watch is best paid for in piggy banks. Now let's be clear, no one is suggesting you finance a watch if it's going to send your budget into a tailspin. But when done responsibly, financing a watch isn't an act of reckless abandon. It's simply a tool for bringing luxury into your life without putting your finances on the next series of grand designs. You've worked hard, so why wait years to enjoy the fruits of your labour? And as for me, well, let's just say I've done it 3 times. And if that's a crime, I'll gladly serve my sentence in the luxurious comfort of a well-crafted timepiece. So, you've settled on your next piece, a simple Sellita-powered 3-hander. The financial side is covered and you're ready to show it off to everyone in your favourite watch enthusiast Facebook group. Then comes that one bloke ready to rain on your parade before it's even got started. Have you considered how much this thing will cost to service? You know you've got to get it serviced at the recommended intervals, right? Well, I'll stick my neck out here. Wrong. Sort of. Now let's put those pieces of horology aside that cost more than the average semi-detached house in the suburbs. Those probably do need servicing at regular intervals, but if you can afford those, then servicing shouldn't be a problem. But your run-of-the-mill 3-hander Sellita, I'm firmly in team, if it's not broke, don't fix it. Modern simple movements are built to last. And if your watch is ticking along just fine, there's no need to panic about servicing. Sure, servicing can cost £150 to £300, but unless your watch is running like a potato, it might not be worth it. Your watch doesn't need a spa day unless there's something actually wrong. These movements are pretty solid, and unless it's losing time or making weird noises, just wear it and enjoy it. When the time comes, pun intended, servicing is easy enough, but until then, let it keep ticking, no need to stress. We've all heard it. Think about resale value. But here's the cold hard reality. If your first thought when buying a new watch is selling your new watch, you're not buying something out of love, you're buying a stock ticker. Watches aren't investments. They're symbols of passion, craftsmanship, and, most importantly, personal enjoyment. If you're obsessing over whether you'll make a profit in 5 years, you might as well buy some dodgy meme coins to speed up that disappointment from 5 years to 5 minutes. Sure, some watches do appreciate, but they're like unicorns in a sea of horses. The truth is, most watches are going to lose value the second you walk out of the store. That £1,000 beauty you just picked up, yeah, it's not magically going to turn into a rare collectible by next Tuesday. And that's perfectly fine. If you love the watch, who cares what it's worth to someone else in a decade? At the end of the day, watch collecting should be about your joy, not your return on investment. Buy the watch that speaks to you. Wear it, love it, enjoy the craftsmanship. If it appreciates in value, congrats, you just got lucky. But don't let the hope of future profit guide your purchase. Life's too short to buy things just for resale. Enjoy the experience now, because that's what truly matters. Ah yes, the keyboard warriors strike again. That watch is too big for your wrist. Or, the ever helpful, that looks like a toy, bro. And, just like that, someone you've never met has appointed themselves the supreme commander of watch sizing. Let's cut the nonsense. Watch size is subjective. The idea that there's a correct case diameter for your wrist is laughable, unless your arm is a tape measure, in which case, congrats on your new career in watch retail. Somewhere along the line, the internet decided that 38 to 41 millimeters is the holy land and everything else is either overcompensating or feminine. And here's the tangent. When was the last time someone looked at your wrist mid-conversation and said, bit much, don't you think? Never. Because people aren't doing risk assessments on your date just over dinner. They're too busy pretending to listen while thinking about what they're ordering for dessert. Look, wear what makes you happy. Want a 47mm bronze dive watch that looks like a dinner plate? Slap it on. Prefer a 34mm vintage piece that whispers elegance instead of screaming for attention? Gorgeous. There are no rules. You're not curating a museum exhibit, you're expressing you. Let the self-appointed wrist police argue in the comments. You've got better things to do, like enjoying your watch. Hublots actually aren't that bad. Yeah, I said it. Hublot, the Voldemort of watch brands. Mention it in a watch forum and someone's guaranteed to combust. They're tacky, they're overpriced. We get it, Steve. Hublot hate is mostly just fashionable. It's the equivalent of trashing Nickelback or Pineapple on Pizza. People do it out of reflex, not reason. Half the time, they've never even held one. Are they loud? Absolutely. You don't slap on a 45mm sapphire case with a rainbow bezel and whisper, hope no one notices. You wear it because you want to feel like a Bond villain who owns a crypto exchange and a racehorse. It's drama, it's flair, it's fun. And let's give credit where it's due. Hublot actually innovates. New materials, wild collaborations, designs with genuine personality, unlike yet another heritage-inspired diver from a brand that's been copying itself since 1996. So no, you don't have to love them, but let's stop pretending they're horological sin-made manifest. They're bold, weird, and having more fun than most of the industry. And sometimes, oh, who am I kidding? Pineapple on pizza? Yuck. I tried, at least. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.